In 1936, the Great Terror started in earnest. In August 1936, there was a trial of anti-Soviet United Trotsky Zinovyevite Center. Zinoviev and Kamenev were at the center of it, and there were many other prominent party members. Some Germans among them, and some of them were NKVD operatives. From 1932, these people supposedly were trying to kill Stalin and other Soviet leaders. This was all inventions, of course, and the only evidence was actually confessions. Some of this evidence was nonsensical. For example, one Ivan Smirnov was accused of assassinating Kirov, but he was in prison at the time of Kirov's murder, and there were many such things. What was important for Stalin was that a document was found, not a secret document, it was Trotsky's public speech abroad, in which Trotsky said that the time has come to get rid of Stalin, to implement Lenin's testament and to get rid of Stalin. So for Stalin to get rid of was to kill. Or maybe he just pretended that for him to get rid of was to kill. So the accused were tortured. Again, the charges were based on falsified documents. Zinoviev and Kamenev showed themselves as very naive people. They asked for a meeting with the Politburo. In fact, they were granted a meeting with two people, Stalin and Voroshilov. And what they said was that they were prepared to admit all their crimes and sins, which they were charged with, everything, spying, sabotage, attempts to murder Soviet officials and so on, in exchange for their lives and for the lives of their relatives. Of course, such a promise was given, and of course they gave all the necessary confessions publicly, and after that they were executed. During the trial, Bukharin and Rykov mentioned, as was Tomsky. When Tomsky heard about it, he committed suicide. In January 1937, a parallel anti-Soviet Trotskyist center was uncovered. This time, some other prominent communists were charged with the same crimes. Petakov, Radek, Sokolnikov, Serebrякov, these were all names of Lenin era. They were all names of old Bolsheviks. They gave evidence against Bukharin and Rykov. 13 were executed. Those who survived were killed in prison or executed later. Each of these trials was accompanied by a huge propaganda campaign. Media, public meetings, meetings at every factory, meetings at every organization and institution, all of them denounced the traitors, the vermin, Judas Trotsky and other Judas. And even foreign observers, such as, for example, German writer Leon Feuchtwanger, they did believe that the trials were sincere and fair. The people who do not believe were actually the Germans. Many of the people who were charged with espionage were charged with espionage for Germany. But the German ambassador to Moscow wrote back to Germany that it was just a spectacle. He had no doubt that Stalin knew that there were no espionage. Trotsky himself was finally killed by Ramon Mercader in August 1940. He was killed with an ice pick very brutally. It happened in Mexico City, where Trotsky lived at that time. Mercader's mother, who took part somehow in this murder, was awarded the Order of Lenin almost immediately after that. Mercader himself served about 20 years in a Mexico prison. He was a Spanish communist, but he was an agent of NKVD. When he finally was released, he was awarded the title of the Hero of the Soviet Union. He is buried in one of Moscow's most prestigious cemeteries as Ramon Lopez. In 1937, the trials were made much easier. First of all, torture was officially sanctioned by the Politburo, and trial procedures were simplified. Not even the whole of Politburo was needed to decide on these questions. It was only Stalin, Molotov, Yezhov, and Kaganovich who acted on behalf of the Politburo. On 30th July, a secret Politburo resolution was passed on the anti-Soviet elements, which sanctioned arrests. Every region was given a particular quota for arresting anti-Soviet elements. And as with the arrests and exiles of kulaks, it was the same. Every region tried to increase their quotas. What was also introduced by this resolution was the trials by Troika. What is Troika? It's three people: a local party boss, a head of the local NKVD, and a local prosecutor. In August, a new resolution followed. It was specifically directed against the Poles, but the experience of using a particular ethnic group as scapegoats was then used against other ethnicities. It was used against the Germans, the Romanians, the Latvians, the Estonians, the Greeks, the Finns, and many, many others. Their only fault was that either they themselves or their fathers hailed from foreign countries, which could be danger for the Soviet Union. Not that other nationalities were spared. Stalin told Yezhov to go with a broom through Udmurt, Mari, Chuvash, and Mordov republics.